There's a movie now about you. You're centre stage. It's your life. It's called Priscilla. And when they first aired it at the Venice Film Festival, you were there. And at the end, there's a very moving clip as you get a standing ovation for about 7 minutes from an ecstatic crowd. And you're in tears at the end. What was it that moved you in that moment?
For the movie getting that kind of reception, I never, you know, when you have a movie that's about you, you never know how people are going to take it. You never know if they're going to understand it. I mean, they have their own, you know, with Elvis, people, you know, that's a big name. It's a big name. And I was happy because it had a standing ovation. I was happy for Sophia. She was quite nervous about
Sofia
it.
Coppola.
Sofia Coppola, right.
Is it an accurate depiction, do you think? Not just of you, but of your relationship with Elvis?
I think so. I think she did a, you know, I mean, she did some homework. I mean, she and I, we talked about it. And, you know, living with Elvis Presley, people think, oh, how wonderful, that's great, it's Elvis Presley. But I went through the ups and downs with him, you know, a very crucial part of his life. You know, his ups and downs, his struggles.
One of the contentious points of the movie is one of the contentious points about your relationship with Elvis, which is when you met him, you were 14 and he was 24. How do you think the movie deals with that? Some people who've reviewed it say, well, you can see there he's grooming her. Others saying that, you know, post Me Too, he would have been cancelled for this kind of thing. What do you feel about it?
Because it was a different time. It was the early 60s. The early 60s, and you know, I compare this to my mother. My father was in the military. My mother would dress up for my father every day when he came home from work. She was dressed up. That was that, and women were that way. We were, you know, not that it was just for our men, but we took care of ourselves, and we wanted to be. When I say we, I include myself. We respected. My mother respected my father. And other women wore dresses back in the day. They did not wear pants, slacks, jeans. So that was just the time. It was, I mean, you know, Elvis was like I said, he was very unique, but he was, I don't know about grooming me. I didn't take it at that. I never heard the word. I mean, obviously it's all new now, but you know, he loved to take me to beautiful stores to buy me an outfit. I didn't have any money. He would take me, you know, to the movies every night. That's when you dressed up. And he wanted me to look good and not feel bad that I had jeans, or not jeans, but you know, a little dress that didn't really fit or be suitable for where we were going. So, so yes, he would buy clothes for me and love to. And look, when you see what he wore, he would dress up to a T. So he wanted me also to be dressed up.
But people today, with the mindset of today, will look back and say it was inappropriate that he would be with a girl of 14. What do you say to people that think that?
I understand. I understand. But I was 14 in Germany, and there was always people around, and our talks were, yes, private, but he never, ever, ever was aggressive.
And famously, you only consummated your relationship on your wedding night.
That's right.
And
no
in
one
fact,
could believe
that's when Lisa Marie was conceived.
That's right.
That night, and you were 21, I think, when you got married. In the movie, again, depending what your mindset is, I think, you could either say, as some people have done, that Elvis comes off as kind of distant, emotionally abusive to a degree, a drug addict. Obviously, people knew that towards the end of his life. Quite a negative characterization. But other people have said, in the same light that you just did about it, that it was a different time, and that actually he was also coping with the extraordinary pressures
Yes.
of being the biggest
Thank you.
superstar in the world.
Yes.
And that brings with it unique challenges.
He had a lot on his shoulders to take care of, to do. He had, you know, films that he hated, all of them actually, except the first two.
Really?
Yes, he was, you know, he felt that he was being a joke, you know, to have this kind of, on the beach, girls, 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 and that's all really what Hal Wallace gave him. Colonel Parker signed a 5-year contract with Hal Wallace, and never cared about what kind of movies they were. Elvis was frustrated at the fact that he couldn't get roles that he wanted. And Colonel just didn't understand his client at all.
What was he like,
Colonel?
Burke? Yeah.
Colonel?
Was he like the Tom Hanks portrayal in the movie?
Somewhat, but Colonel, I never had a problem with Colonel. It's just when Colonel Parker interfered with Elvis's choice of songs, that's when it really, that's part of the movie, and when he's upset because Colonel was, you know, trying to change the music and wanting him to sing a different song or talk to a producer and said he should be doing this. When he got in Elvis's way, that's when Elvis would go all out.
Did you feel Elvis was a controlling influence on you?
Controlling. I don't think it was controlling. I never thought about it being controlling.
You were 16 when you first went to Graceland.
17.
17. I mean, again, a crazy experience for a young teenage woman to suddenly be propelled from a very normal life into this. Do you remember it vividly, the first few experiences there?
Well, when I first went to Graceland to visit, it was in June of '62, I believe, and no, it was '63. I was in Vegas in '62. Okay, '63. Elvis was there, and he wanted for me to close my eyes when they drove up to the gate, because I had heard about Graceland. He told me all about Graceland, and I would love Graceland. It's so beautiful, and I mean, he loved Graceland. That was his home, and the first home he ever bought. So I closed my eyes, and he asked the driver to have the gates open, and you could see the beautiful gates, and they'd open up, and the lights were on. It was so beautiful. I more than what I ever expected. But he was so proud of it, and to not just to me, to show people and to take them around the house and the grounds, and it was beautiful. It was a nice moment.
It was a magical place in many ways, and yet what comes through from the movie is that he would go off and make his movies, and while he was away, you were often left for long periods of time on your own in this extraordinary place. But actually life there could be quite dull. You were with Elvis Presley, but life for a lot of the time for you was not wildly exciting at all.
There was a lot of telephone calls.
Right.
He would always call me at 5 o'clock in the evening, and I would wait for
Like
that
clockwork,
phone call.
every night.
Yes.
And you'd be there ready.
I'd be there by the phone.
And there's this sort of sense you get in the movie, and you get it whenever you read about Elvis. You would know better than anybody, obviously, that when he walked into a room, energy levels through the roof. I mean, he was Elvis Presley. The charisma was just crazy.
Yeah.
Even if he wasn't in a great mood, it was still crazy, this charisma. Do you remember that?
Oh my God, yes. He'd walk into the room and it's like, whoa. I mean, he didn't realize, you know, what he had as far as his appearance or what he felt or his charisma. But there was a few times when he'd kid around and he said, damn, I'm good looking. Kiddingly, when he would be in his bathroom and he'd be getting ready to go somewhere. But he had a great sense of humor.
This little girl, Lisa Marie, and she's your child that you have with Elvis, his only child. What was that relationship like after the divorce between the three of you, would you say?
Well, because when I left, he adored her, and I never wanted to take that away from him. So I made arrangements that on Christmas or holidays or Easter, it was a point that I would send her to Graceland. Of course, the nannies was there with her. I would bring her there. That he had time alone with her. So even in Las Vegas, the same thing. I wanted them, you know, to be close, which they were. And
Was he a
became
good
close.
father despite all the problems he was having?
He was as good a father as he could be. You know, he was never around children. And, you know, it was, he, you know, growing up. So he really, honestly, when she was smaller, he didn't quite know what to do with her. But as she got a little bit older and a little bit older, and then she could travel, you know, to visit him and be with him for at least 2 weeks, you know, when there was Christmas or Easter or something, then he became closer to her.
His death was something that shook the entire world. But for you and your daughter, it must have been a particularly seismic, shocking moment.
Devastating to get a call. Absolutely devastating. I had just talked to him the night before, actually. And no, 2 nights before. And to get that call, Joe Esposito actually called me and said, Scylla, Elvis is dead. And he was already emotional, and I just yelled, you know, I thought he was kidding. You know, you just never imagine that. We would joke around all the time. And then when I found out that, you know, it was true, and I just went to my bedroom and just stayed, and Joe said, send the plane for me, the private plane. And I just stayed in my room and couldn't believe it, and cried, and I don't know.
It's interesting, even now, this is 50 years ago, pretty much, nearly.
Yeah.
But it still has a profound effect on you.
I can still hear Joe Esposito's words. Scylla, Elvis is dead. And that was like, I just couldn't imagine him ever, you know, especially, you know, his age and all, being still so young and wanting to do so much and had so much planned, and not having him, not talking to him, not having him be the father of our child. And what, you know, my big fear was Lisa, you know, and how do I tell her? And she was only 9 at the time.
I have a daughter of 11, and I can't imagine a harder conversation to have.
Right.
How did you tell her?
Well, I just told her we were going to Graceland and we were going to go see Daddy, but Daddy won't be, you know, Daddy will be resting. And she just asked me, and she goes, well, what, resting? I've never actually told this before because it's been hard. But I said, well, he's going to go to sleep for a while. And she goes, will I be able to see him? And I said, yes, you'll be able to see him. You'll be able to see him. And then she sees him. And I don't think she really quite got it, but because she went out in the golf cart and started, she had a little friend, and driving in the golf cart and all around the backyard of Graceland. So it didn't really hit her until later.
I can't even imagine, because it was such a huge story for the rest of the world, but for you, this is real life. This is your man that you love, still love, still love today.
Still up today, yep. He was, like I said, he was unique. He was, his personality was unreal. He was caring. He cared for people. He had, he wondered why him. And when, I mean, there's stories about him. I don't know if you ever heard the story about there was a black woman who was looking at a car on Beale Street, a car dealership, and he was looking, you know, he was just driving around, and he saw her looking in the windows at the new cars that were there, and he told Charlie to stop the car. He stopped out, and he went over to the woman, and he goes, boy, those are nice cars. And he said, oh, yes, sir, they're beautiful, look at that. And she goes, what one do you like? And she goes, ooh, I like that black one right there. No, not the blue one right there. And he goes, really? Yeah, I kind of like that too. So then he takes her in, and they go in, see the car, and he says, what do you think? Oh, that's a beautiful car. You'll be good in that car, right? He goes, well, just a minute. He goes and gets a salesman. He says, give me the keys to that car. I'm getting it. And he gives the keys to her. And that was a beautiful blue Cadillac, brand new. That's him. That's what he would do. Anyone in trouble, he'd give them money. anyone who had, you know, a problem with anything really, you know, and they couldn't afford it, even with some of the guys who needed medical care, he'd pay for it.
When you've watched Elvis the movie and now Priscilla, and it's made you revisit all of these times that you had with him, do you have any part of you that thinks if only I'd done this, this, or this, things could have turned out differently?
You know, I don't know. I don't think so, because I really, you know, I gave my all to him. You know, I couldn't change his mind. I mean, he was strong-minded.
Well, I think he loved you and you loved him till the day he died, right? I mean, that's clear.
Yes.
It was an extraordinary love story.
He would call me all the time. And it was so funny because whoever he was with, he would usually go into his bathroom to make the phone calls.
Do you remember your last conversation with him?
My last conversation, yes, was when Lisa was coming home, that she needed to come home because school was starting. And Lisa was there during that time. Yeah. That was it.
It's very, I mean, it's very poignant for me to talk to you, who's, in the end, you're a woman that had this extraordinary life and had this extraordinary relationship with this man. But here we are, I think he died in 1977, and here we are in 2023. And I can see the effect he still has on you, just on a personal, human level.
Yeah. The bad side of Elvis, that was a real moment when he was upset with Colonel Parker. And it showed that yes, he had a temper. Yes, that's, you know, what he felt, you know, at that moment. But that didn't mean he was like that all the time, hardly. But he knew what he wanted, and he didn't want, you know, someone to go against him when he knew, and he did. His instincts were absolutely right.
Yes. There's a horrible irony in many ways that it was literally at the moment that the Elvis movie was being feted at the Golden Globes, and you attended with Lisa Marie, that within 48 hours of that, she incredibly sadly died in her mid-50s. What was, I've read an account that you both went to Chateau Marmont and you were laughing together as a mother and daughter, and everything seemed fine. And then she suddenly said to you that she was having these crippling stomach pains.
Yeah.
Did you fear there was something very bad happening?
Well, she didn't look well that night, and I was concerned. And she asked Jerry Schilling, who is a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, if not the best friend, if he could hold her. Her heels were high, and she's worn them before. And I thought, oh, is she okay? She didn't really look that okay. She looked very frail. So I let that go, and then we watched the show, and we had a few laughs, and we were all excited about Austin Butler and, you know, and Baz, and, you know, the movie went so well. We're proud of them, and, you know. And then we started to go, and she said, Mom, you want to go to Chateau Marmont and have a drink? And I said, sure. I had gone in my own car, and she had her own car because she lived in Calabasas. Let's go, and we get out, and we get down to we both had our high heels, and both of us tripped up the one staircase. We started laughing and giggling, and then we went there and sat down, and she said, Mom, I have to go. My stomach really hurts. And I go, of course. You okay? And she goes, yeah, I really have to go. And I go, okay, we'll get the cars now. And then we walked toward the car, and I hugged her, and she went her way, and I went mine, and that hug was the last hug I gave her. And it's still shocking that, you know, we don't have her. I got that call from her ex-husband, Danny, that, you know, I need to go to the hospital and see Lisa, that she's in the hospital. And then I thought, oh my God, you know, this is not the first time, but I never thought that it was the last.
And it was too late. You didn't see her.
It was too late.
While she was still alive.
Yeah.
I mean, they say that it's the worst possible thing to lose a child. Given your relationship, how close you were, what you'd been through as a family, it must have been particularly painful, unbearable.
Well, it was unbearable, you know. I lost my mother, I lost my grandson, and I lost my daughter. And losing Ben was the hardest thing for her, losing Ben.
Because he took his own life.
He took his own life. And he was the love of her life. That child, she adored him. She would do anything for him, anything. And we were in Memphis, we were sitting up in the suite, and she said, "Mom, you know, I don't know if I want to be here." And I go, "What are you talking about?" You know, like Ben. And she'd go on about Ben and how she is still grieving. And this was a couple of months before.
That she was feeling almost suicidal herself.
I think so. She was almost like, she wanted to go earlier, but the twins were still young. Or too young, let's put it that way. So, twins were what, 13?
It's so sad.
I know. Don't talk anymore. Can you stop the camera, please?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry about that.
No, of course. It's completely understandable. Lisa, of course, at one stage was married briefly to Michael Jackson.
Right.
Arguably after Elvis, the other great pop icon there's ever been. Were you concerned about that?
Very. Yeah, and I was honest with her. You know, she told me she was seeing him, and you know, she was seeing him for a little bit actually, and then I remember being in Hawaii, and we were walking together on the beach, and she said, "Mom, I'm really concerned." And I go, "This is while they were married," and said that, you know, I never see him. I go, "What do you mean you never see him? He's always gone." I go, "Where does he go?" And she goes, "I don't know. I don't know where he goes. He'll call me maybe 3 or 4 days later." I said, "Well, don't you ask him where he's going?" He goes, "You just said, you know, he's around, he has things to do." And I always felt that, you know, Michael, you know, Jackson, Lisa Presley, and he you know, loved Elvis or respected Elvis. So I always felt, excuse me, that having the name, you know, be associated with the name with his daughter. Yeah, I did. I was concerned. I told her.
You thought that maybe that was his main motivation?
I did.
Did you?
I did. I mean, I know he was a bit fearful of me, and she told me, you know, he's afraid of you. And I go, "What is he afraid of me for? Why is he afraid? Why should he be afraid of me?" And she goes, "I don't know, he doesn't think you'll like him." I said, "I've hardly talked to him, because he always hides."
Right.
We were at the Peabody Hotel in Memphis, and I went to see her at her suite, and we're talking, and then all of a sudden I said, "Well, how's Michael?" I said, "He's getting dressed." And I go, "Okay." So he pops out really quickly to get his hat that was left on the end table, and then rushes back and closes the door. I said, "God, do I scare him that much?"
Was it, do you think, because he knew you saw through him a bit?
I think he was quite smart, and I think he did.
Yeah.
I think he did. But she then told me that, you know, that she wanted a divorce, and then the rest is history.
Yeah. After Lisa died, it was widely reported, obviously, that there was a dispute between you and Riley, her daughter, and it's all been settled.
Oh, yeah.
And Riley gave an interesting interview to Vanity Fair, and I thought there were some wonderful lines there, I thought, because it really resonated with me for any family, but particularly a family like yours, which has all the added outside pressures, and of course, huge amounts of money with the estate and everything else. And she said, When my mum passed, there was a lot of chaos in every respect of our lives. Everything felt like the carpet had been ripped out and the floor had melted from under us. Everyone was in a bit of a panic to understand how we move forward. And it took a minute to understand the details of the situation because it's complicated. We're a family, but there's a huge business side of our family. So I think that there was clarity that needed to be had, and clarity has been had. And they then asked, are things with Grandma happy? And she said, a really interesting response. Things with Grandma will be happy. They've never not been happy. She said, I'm trying to think of a way to answer it. It's not a 20-minute conversation. There was a bit of an upheaval. Then she said this about you. She's a beautiful woman, and she was a huge part of creating my grandfather's legacy in Graceland. It was very important to her. He was the love of her life. Anything that would suggest otherwise in the press makes me sad, because at the end of the day, all she wants is to love and protect Graceland and the Presley family and the legacy. That's her whole life. It's a big responsibility she's trying to take on. None of that stuff has ever really been a part of our relationship prior. She's just been my grandma. And I thought that was actually a lovely way to describe it.
Yeah, I never read that. Wow, wow. I'm going to cry again. Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Oh, my God, I love her. I mean, we have always gotten along, you know. I think it was the press that really started all this. And, you know, it's like everything else. They don't give you, you know, they don't, when something comes out, like, yes, there was a little bit of trying to figure out the will, trying to figure out, you know, like you normally do. But Riley and I have always been close.